Hello friends, there we go. Good to have you on board again. Let me give other folks just a second. That's about how much time I do give you, about a second. And Yahoo at the moment. We have friends on Facebook. Let me make sure you guys turn down the echo. You don't need to hear me once, really. Think about it, let alone twice. All right. Hi, my name's Dan Nelson, or D. Nelson as I'm called here in this one. We're sneaking our way up to the big 1,000. Daily Art Adventure number 926. Final glaze and sparkle. I'm really tickled about sharing this particular step of the process, Izzy, with you, because it's a step that I don't get to show very often. So let's zoom in here for just a minute and show you the top of my bald head. Okay, once my head gets out of the way, just up close so you can see. Last night, and this is all dry, by the way, not cured, of course, but just dry to the touch. I already tested it earlier, so that's why I'm pretty confident doing this. But I want to show in particular some of the broken color. You know, some aqua, pink, hot pink, green, more aqua, purplish blue there, and so on and so forth. So I won't show you. I won't zero in on the whole canvas, but I want you to know that I did that without you last night. So the broken color is behind us. And hello, Aslan, good to have you watching. And Gwendolyn, good to have you watching as well. I'm happy with the painting. I could stop right here. It's already signed, by the way. I could stop here and deliver it and nobody would bat an eye. But I'm batting my eye. Behold, the batting of the eye. No one would bat their eye but me. Because in the recent year or two, year and a half, I've discovered, wait a minute, there's one more thing I can do. All right. And let me just tell you what I'm going to do. First of all, I've called it sparkle, but several things go underneath this final category. Sparkle that could use just a spot on top of that spot that's slightly lighter. That's pretty awkward syntax, but it's really a pretty accurate way to put it. Is there any spot of paint anywhere on the canvas, of course there are many of them, it'd be a better painting if I put, the thing to catch here is same color, slightly lighter. Let's take, for instance, let me zoom in here for just a minute. I don't know if you can see that little red bit of broken color right there. Would it look good if I mixed up that same color red, but just one tick, whatever a tick is, one tick lighter, and put it on part of that? And the answer is usually yes, it would. Now I don't want to get into a long philosophical rabbit hole about why it looks good. Just suffice it to say the human eye, brain, eye, gets a kick out of seeing lighter paint on top of darker paint. This has nothing to do with watercolor. But we get a kick out of seeing slightly, and there's already a lot of that happening. There's already, here on this building, here's the basic color of the building, then there's a lighter bit and a lighter bit on top of that, okay? But this sparkle, there won't be much of it. This is a short process, just here and there, where I say, oh, it'd be good. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, that doesn't go under sparkle, but it's the last thing I do, is any impasto. That word always bothers me. I'm assuming we're in Italian/Latin. So in my book, it seems to me it ought to be, then it sounds like whatever Italian restaurant. And in fact, you're exactly right. It does come from the same root. I remember reading that somewhere a long time ago. So same root, and do thick paint just because it looks cool. Just because people like the human eye gets a kick out of saying thick. Kick out of thick. There you go. Okay. Then thirdly, is there any good place for me to do some palette knife painting? Now, again, why would I want to do palette knife painting? The answer is because it makes it a better painting. Okay, because of the principle of variety. Principle. Variety, variety, variety. That's as far as I'm going to go with that. So I might sneak in here and do some palette knife. You understand that a palette knife stroke has a very different feel, different texture from all this brush painting, right? Correct. All right. But before I do any of that, I do what else I've put in this title, which is final glaze. Now, I've already glazed in oils. I've already glazed it twice so far. So why would I glaze it again? So glad you asked that. You're a sharp audience today. Why would I glaze it for a third time? Well, one answer is because ain't a color made that don't look better with something else on top of it. By which I mean, ain't a color made that don't look better if it got transparent something on top of it. In other words, transparent colors are more interesting than opaque. That's one answer. Here's another answer. As I stand back, and if you'll forgive me, I'm actually going to literally do this. I'm standing behind the camera. As I stand back and look, put my hand on my chin, stroke my beard, and go tilt and put my head tilted at the side. I go, I like it pretty much. I just wish it was more blank. And the blank is a color, okay? Some of you will recognize this is a drill that we do all the time. That exact quote. This is what I make my students do in a live class. You have to put your hand on your chin too. If you don't have a beard, just chin will do. I like it pretty much. Half my students, you see, they choke on that part. They're looking at their own painting. I like it pretty much. I just wish it was more blank. Blank is color. All right, so here's my answer to that. I do like it quite well, so I don't have to fake it. I like it pretty much. I just wish it was more. Now I'm going to change that slightly. I wish it was slightly less orange. Now the photograph. Here's the picture. Remember this? The photograph is in fact very orange. So as a matter of fact, my painting is already slightly less orange than the photograph. But I don't care about it. So I'm okay. Now, how do you anti-orange something? Well, that would be to blue it, right? Straight across color wheel from orange is blue. Really? So am I going to do some transparent blue? And the answer is maybe. All right, let's get started and find out if that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start out glazing some of the easy parts. Now, okay, now again, just in case somebody's watching who's new, the medium that I am using is liquid, kind of a little bit smelly. Hello, Brenda and Raven again, and Judy Wood. Good to see you all. Thank you for speaking up and saying hi. I really like my sky, by the way, and you understand, don't you, that when an artist says that, he or she is not bragging. I'm not bragging to you guys. I'm going, oh, wow, that turned out kind of nice. It's more surprise than boast. I mean, maybe some screwball artist somewhere says that and is bragging, but I sure am not. All right, but I would like the sky can be slightly darker up here in the corners. So now generally, when I talk about doing a glaze, you would see me doing what I'm doing right here. Well, these are actually small brushes for glazing, but because usually I use bigger ones in this. Be that as it may, a glaze to me is usually not very detailed. It's just broad glazes of color, transparent tints. T-I-N-T-S is the word I'm trying to say there. Tints of color. that looked up there, and that looked the corner, that looks better. Oh, now let me, before I go any further, let me tell you that anytime you do a glaze, typically the follow-up, the immediate follow-up to the glaze is lifting paint off with a rag. Okay, it's painting in the negative. That is to say, painting by taking paint off. Okay? So I don't have to be careful. Like, what if I decide in a minute that that blue on top of that pink orange doesn't really look very good? As I apply this, at the moment, ultramarine blue glaze. To tell you the truth, at the moment, I'm surprised. Can you guys see that up there? Yeah, barely, huh? A little better if I do this? Not really. Oh, Judy, good for you. Glad you caught me live there on Facebook one time. That's a heck of a name, I'm sure. Oken 60. Say hi to. All right, I was saying a minute. I'm surprised how much that blue on top of that. I still am likely to wipe some of that off, but I'm frankly a little bit surprised already how much I do kind of like that. But we'll see. More down than that. Much more down. Much lower than that. I'm still, at the moment, I've used nothing. Warm blue. Now, remember how I said I was just a little bit uncertain about the, I was afraid. We're not talking chainsaw here. We're talking scalpel. Okay, very subtle, very subtle changes. And again, hang on, I'm going to look at that. I'm going to wipe that off. I'm going to wipe it off right here. So this is wiped off and this is on. On. Blue, no blue. Yeah, I think that's all right. Now, and again, I don't know if you can see, there's all these little street light bits here. They don't look particularly good with ultramarine blue on top of them, right? So no problem, no problem. Come in here with a little rag and a finger, and yeah. So I actually just kind of pushed. I'm going to come back, by the way. I already know I'm going to come back with some red, some permanent rose in that part of the painting right there. I'd already decided that before I did, but I'm doing blue first. This area right here, I think this should be a little bit darker, and blue is a good color for making it darker. One of the most important words that I use in my internal dialogue when I'm thinking about a painting, again, more blue on top of this yellow orange right there. I'm not sure that's a good idea. I'm not sure that looks good. This is part of the reason why glazing is so much fun. Look, you could just put it on and take it off, and you can take it all, you can get it all off if you want. I'm looking and squinting. I was in the middle of saying something, and I'm going to do some red over here. Oh, it'll come back. If it was important, it'll come back. Again, I'm killing color. I'm killing orange just a little bit. I think that was nice, right there. How about up here? Nah. And I think that little bit right there, I disagree with so much. I actually dipped my rag in some Gamsol, right? The brush, what most of you would call paint thinner. It's not. It's a much safer product than paint thinner. But how about this over here? Would this building look good if I pushed it back with some blue? Well, how about this building? This building is already blue. Do I want it bluer? All right, so I'm just giving you literally the thought process that would be going on in my head even if you guys weren't watching. Does that make sense? I wouldn't be talking out loud probably, but I'd be asking myself the very same question. That looks good. I don't think I want to mess with any of that, but maybe this right here. There's not much paint on my brushes, so I'm going to add a little bit more. Now, this area right here, the sky, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and make a change right here. I'm going to wipe off some of the glaze that I just put on there a few minutes ago. Yeah. Oh, by the way, so final glaze, which I'm doing right now, then sparkle, which is little light bits, impasto, thick paint, palette knife, just for the variety of texture, and any other corrections that I want to make. I didn't say that earlier, but it kind of goes without saying. And one of the corrections, there are two, they're right here. One is, I think, I think I was starting to say a while ago, the word I use a lot is energy. So back over here, I did some dark blue here, and I de-energized. I pushed this area down, made it slightly less energetic. I feel like this area right here doesn't have quite enough energy. I feel like I want to bring this area up about that much, because right now there's too much. I mean, I love this right here, but all of the intense energy is right here, and it trails off. This direction trails off too quickly. So I'm going to paint the sky slightly lighter right here and do, I just lost some of you. Oh, there we go. Okay. And then do some light in the windows. So not many, because I feel like this building needs to stay, I'm breaking up, aren't I? Needs to stay subtle, soft the way it is, but not quite as soft. I want to bring it up. Okay, so that's what I was starting to say a while ago. Energy, the word is the word that I use the most. Okay, I'm going to change the color on my brushes. I'm going to add some purple to the blue. So now I have a purplish blue on my brushes, and this tree right here. See, there's a tree, mostly bare, brand new springtime leaves on it, that's quite in the foreground right here. I'm experimenting right now. I'm not sure that I want this corner darker and purpler. I'm just experimenting doing it and see how I like it. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. So I'll leave that. Let's pick up a little bit more blue and purple, because I do want this area right in here. There's a bit of confusion right here, but I think just darkening it and then coming back in a minute with tiny bits of light, I think we'll fix it. We'll fix that. By confusion, I meant there was an area of the painting that just it was neither fish nor fowl. It kind of lost in indecision. It looked like it was indecisive. That's the word I'm looking for. All right. And so far I've been doing all blue and or purple blue. Now I've got purple. I'm going to add some up here. Okay, I'm going to put those brushes down and pick up a couple others, so I won't waste your time cleaning those brushes. And I guess even a smaller brush And now I want to, now I'm going to do some warm glazing. The first thing, the one thing that I'm a little bit sure about is I want some redness. In the world of transparent colors, there's no such thing as a transparent red. Okay? It's in the world of transparent colors, it's magenta. If you take a tube of cadmium red paint, say for instance, and thin it down with a glaze so that it's transparent, it doesn't feel like transparent red. It feels like sickly bubblegum pink, in my opinion. So that's why in the four-color printing process, CMYK, the M is for magenta. There's no red in four-color printing separation. It's the rules are slightly different in the world of transparent. The rules are different than they are in traditional color mixing. All right, so now I've got this. I love Permanent Rose is my favorite of all the reds. Permanent Rose is my favorite. And I love just the look of it. It is a transparent color, and so it's very easy to make it even more transparent by adding a glaze to a medium to it. Is very easy. I think I'm liking that. Okay, is there anywhere else? Yes, there is this brush. One of those that I picked up was a little bit stiff and irritating me a little bit. Let's go up here. Can we put some pinkish stuff up here? I think the answer is yes, but not that much. Okay, and once again, these little light bits didn't look that good with pink on them, so I'm erasing, taking the pink off. Now that looks good. Sorry for the cough. I'm still a tiny bit of leftover. I'm not contagious, especially to you guys. My throat got roughed up in a little hospital visit last week. I've talked about that before. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it alone for now. Anyway, so it's just a scratchy throat, a little bit of congestion in my lungs. All right, I think I'm done glazing. Wait, no, hang on. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Do I want to do any of this lovely, lovely pink up here in the sky? I think I do. See, one of the fun things, again, about glazing is you get to be a control freak. I'm not, whoops, we lost somebody here. Using a small brush, I'm not being a control freak in that way, but I get to fine-tune the colors to such an extreme degree. That's fun, Judy. I hope you're still watching. I just read your delightful comment. Good for you. Good for you. What fun. All right. I think the final glaze is, no sooner do I start to say that than I start to change my mind. The final glaze is nearly finished. I'm going to do some more of this Permanent Rose right here. This is if you're not from our city, you would be wondering, what is that big purple thing? Well, it's a part of the convention center. It's a big wall that leans toward us, and it's covered with millions of little 1.5-inch metal discs that hang against the surface. And as the breeze goes through, there's an image of a oak tree. Raleigh is the city of oaks. There's an image of an oak tree on it. This is it's a city block, so whatever that is, 250 feet or something like that. And as the breeze goes through, you literally see ripples. It's fun. Every city has some little things, and that's one of ours. And the photograph just happened to catch it. So it has LED light, spotlights on all the time. And it just happened to catch it with purple, and it looks really good in purple. So I'm being realistic in that respect. Let me see some other chats you guys are saying. Hello, Paula. Uncle 60, the ice cream store was... Oh, hello, Owen. I am real, my friend. And I see David says, I need the apple green. Nope. There are actually lots of little bits of green everywhere. Ironically, I already did what you said, David. All right. Actually, I want to repair, not repair, but there's a fix that I need to do over here. I already mentioned it, and let's go ahead and get that done because I'm impatient. And something happened to my music. There we go. I want to get that there's a little bit of the sky there that I feel like needs to be brought up energy-wise. Hello, Jen. I hope you're still there. So nice to see you, so to speak. Thank you for saying hi. Jen and I were friends in what we called junior high, now called middle school. Jen, I was talking about my days in Kingsley just yesterday on my broadcast, talking about what an ideal place that was to live as a middle school kid, jumping on our bikes, not even telling our mom where we were going, be gone all day. In my case, with Don Carlson half the time. Come back at supper time. All right, I want just this area of the sky. I decided, again, I want a little bit more energy here to counterbalance what's happening over there. That's the connotation of even Steven. Well, that is not at all what I want. I don't want this to compete at all with this. But if you will, if this is weighted, I want this area over here to come down just a little bit more energy. I've already done it, actually. I've just about perfectly achieved the degree of lightening, the lightening effect that I want over there. So now I'm going to do a little bit on this side of the building, then I'm going to do just a few windows, bits of light, squares of light, and then I feel like, yeah, that's good. And then I feel like this building, this part of the painting will be good enough. Like I said, it feels like it needed to be brought up slightly, brought up energy-wise. And I'm nearly finished. That's probably enough right there. Hello, Richard Tardell. Good to have you on board as well. All these artists watching me and making me nervous. All right, so was there any other correction that I need to do? There is actually, right here on the shimmer wall, the purple thing right here. I feel like it needs a little bit more of a highlight, a little bit lighter, brighter, whiter bit. So what creates energy? Number one, hard edges create energy, contrast, and intense color. Before we get into psychological energy, like the presence of a human being, a figure, an animal even. Okay, I think that's all right. All right, so I think my corrections are done. So if you missed the beginning of this broadcast, there were final glaze, and sparkle is any light bits, and I'll do that in a minute. But there are several things: sparkle, impasto, which means thick paint, palette knife, and correction. So I just finished, I think, all the corrections that were needed. So now it's either sparkle time, or for some reason I'm in the mood to do palette knife. And so here's the way I'm do palette knife. Is there any area of the painting that is kind of flat in color that I could make even flatter? For instance, this panel, yep, so what I'm going to try to do is mix up a bit of paint that is exactly the same color as that one face. Well, and it needs to be a bit of a pile of paint. It can't be real thin. I was, a minute over here, I was making it much too thin. Forgot what I was doing for a second. Because when you use a palette knife, of course, you go through the paint. All right, let me see if this is close. Oh, perfect. Bully for me, it was perfect. I'm kidding. I mean, that was a surprise. All right, so I'm just gonna take the same brown that's already there and just drag the palette knife across it like that. Now, bless your heart, you guys, you can't see that. Feel very bad about that, but not bad enough to do anything about it. I'll pick you up in a little while and show you some of these. But you get the idea. Now there's this one part of the painting right here, of the whole painting. This is the only part of the painting that has that classic glassy smooth palette knife texture to it, right? So all I'm doing, it's very simple. All I'm doing is adding a variety, is adding a different texture to the painting. Does that make sense? That's pure. That's why. Why do I want different texture? Because it adds variety to my painting. That's all. I mean, it's such a simple thing that it sounds almost stupid. Like, what? You doing that just for variety? Yep. The answer is yep. Now I've mixed up a dull orange, pretty close, a little bit lighter, and so now I'm looking at this square right here, and yeah, this palette knife looks like it's just about the right size. So loading it up with paint and just sliding it. Ooh. That looks okay, except for this edge doesn't look so hot, so I'm scratching. There we go. All right. That makes me happy. Just that little bit of flatness that doesn't appear anywhere else. Not sure about that one. Okay, that's all right. Yeah. Again, I'm not going to, just in case you're wondering, I'm not going to go hog wild with this. I mean, I could do this for hours, right? Yeah, no need No, 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 no. The painting is quite adequate right the way it is. This is just a few tiny little touches. I will tell you though that one of my favorite places to do this kind of thing is in the sky, partly because one doesn't expect to see it in the sky. One expects the sky to be all worked out, modeled out with a brush, you know, to make it look all cloudy, which it does. So therefore, it's a fun place to sneak in a little bit of unexpected yeah, just like that. Do another one right there. So all of a sudden, in the middle of this painting, it's all brushy, 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 there's a little bit of shiny, smooth texture. Once again, I'm sure you understand that everything I'm doing here, this is not in the service of realism, right? I didn't say that, but I'm assuming you can figure that out. I'm not doing this to make something more realistic, like to make it look more like sky, for instance, or make it look more like a building. Not at all, not at all. This is purely abstract. Hello, Jennifer. Excellent, please come back. Hey, bloke yourself. And David. Asking about, there is green down here, and I 2 layers, two very, you know, dark and then lighter, and I think that's as much. And I'm sorry you guys can't see that very well. It's dark down there and so on. It's pretty subtle, but I think it looks right here in person, so to speak. I do wish you guys could see, of course, all my paintings live. Everybody always says, you know, whenever I sell a painting and they've watched me look so much better. So, but there you go. I'm still playing around with. By the way, I always say don't use your fingers, because every time I use my fingers, I feel compelled to say that. But it is true that I do not have any toxic pigments on my palette. No cadmium, no cobalt. Welcome. Some rag painting, as you can see. Part of what I'm doing, let me zoom in here for a second. Part of what I'm doing right up here is that crazy thing that Dan Nelson does, where I have drawn a completely abstract, for no good logical reason, I've drawn a pencil line straight through the sky. There's several of them everywhere. But one of the things I do habitually is then paint up to that line on both sides, and leaving, then I've created a little canyon, a little gap where the line goes through. Absolutely has nothing to do with realism. It's not an attempt to make it look more like sky. In fact, it very clearly makes it look considerably less like sky. I mean, what is it, a chemtrail or what? No, like a black, is it power lines? No, just purely abstract. I'm gonna mix out. I'm nearly finished, I think, doing palette knife stuff. And So if you got the impression, if you thought, well, oh, I thought you were going to do a lot more than that. I mean, I suppose I could, but no. The painting is quite adequate in its current state. This is all dessert. This is just, ooh, that was a nice mark. I don't mean that, by the way, quite very literally. I don't mean, again, I know it sounds like I'm harping on it, but I don't mean, oh, that looks like sky. That's not what I meant. What I literally meant was, ooh, that was a nice mark. So there's a little bit more energy, and I'm happy, quite happy with that. Just in the last several minutes, by using mostly a palette knife, and of course, a brush and a rag and my finger, but a little bit more abstract energy up there, and quite happy with that. This is me happy. Just in case you wondered. Happy with that. Mixing up a little bit of same thing. A little bit more, just a tiny bit more. I like this. I like what's happening over here. So much better than it was just a little while ago. All right, I'm going to call it done with the palette knife. I know, you thought I was going to do more? Well, you were wrong. I could do more, but just a few little jewels in there, just a few bits of, and by the way, that aspect of the painting really will look better when the painting is varnished with a gloss varnish. I do all my oil paints with a gloss varnish, and so it's a uniform sheen for one thing, and the gloss makes the colors pop a little more than the satin, and those little bits that are flat, because they were done with a palette knife, will reflect even more glossy. All right, so I'm done with the glaze, I'm done with the correction, I'm done with the palette knife. Let's do what I called this session, actually. Let's do sparkle next. So I've got two things left, sparkle and impasto. And where the impasto goes is not a great mystery. There's a long, illustrious tradition. That is to say, like Rembrandt. The impasto are the lightest colors on the painting, the lightest passages on the whole painting. Maybe present themselves, if you will, as candidates for some thick painting. So I'm over here mixing up titanium white, of course, and a little bit of Naples yellow. Naples yellow is like yellow ochre, only lighter. All right, so thick stuff. It's too light, so let me darken that a little bit more. Naples yellow. Now, do I want to take that off? I don't know. I don't know if I do or not. I think I do. So there we go. I'll just use it. I'll just make some palette knife texture. And paint with a rag. That's a little bit too light. So paint with a rag, which is never a bad idea, partly because it again creates an alternative texture. All right, variety. And variety is one of the most highest values in the realm of visual art, is variety. That's why I'm doing the impasto stuff. Just glop some paint on. I'm having a little bit hard time glopping. Just let me. There we go. Now I have wondered, first of all, I know without any doubt that people get a kick out of seeing globs or blobs of paint on their painting, okay? What I don't know, though, okay, let me interrupt myself. I'm actually achieving two things right here with this impasto. I'm doing impasto and sparkle at the same time, right? See how that's slightly brighter, lighter, whiter than what was there? Right, that's not an accident. So I do know that people like seeing piles of paint. Some even think of the classic, the copyrighted curly Q at the top of a Dairy Queen ice cream cone. That's impasto. Even in some, we get on a much smaller scale, of course, we get such things in oil paints. The one thing I don't know is, do we like it simply because of it's a variation, or have we been conditioned to like it? Like, ooh, cool paintings have little piles of paint on them. I don't think that's. I mean, I do think that's true. I do think that's a factor. I don't think that's the only reason we like it, but it's something I feel like I have to consider as an artist, that the reason we like this might be just tradition. Be that as it may, I'm not going to worry about it too much, because in fact I know people do in fact like it. So, but I do wonder, is it, well, maybe it's just because of tradition. You know, we have the feeling that paintings with globs of paint with a Dairy Queen curly Q on the top of the stroke that's cool. Very possible. I think the variety thing is the preeminent factor. But okay, once again, so I'm accomplishing two things here. What I call sparkle and impasto at the same time. So I've definitely a more yellow-orange color than I was using a few minutes ago. And as, once again, you understand, I'm sure, that my concern here is not similitude, realism, accuracy. I'm not trying to make it look more like, say in this case, I'm not trying to make the sky look more realistic. In fact, I'm making the sky look decidedly less realistic, right? So I know I keep saying that, but some may still be confused. I don't get it. Why don't you just paint it? Why are you putting that weird stuff in there, right? And then I answer that repeatedly, yea, verily, ad nauseum, from day to day and week to week. As I broadcast here, I talk all the time about why I don't content myself with realism per se. Hello, Jenna.
Hi.
Mix up a little bit more orange, so getting a little bit darker again. And I like the handle end of these brushes too, because they're so good for scratching. And one of the nice things about scratching is that if you overdo it, like I like that, it's just a little bit too much of a good thing, it's pretty easy to undo. You see? So it's like you can scratch Scratch where it itches. No, you can scratch with impunity. Go ahead, give it a whirl, scratch. Because if you accidentally overdo it, real easy to come back and repair. Okay, I'm gonna go darker yet again, and still having a hard time keeping my piles of paint thick enough, because you don't get impasto unless your brush is, you know, really got paint piled on it. Okay, this impasto, of course, imparts a lot of energy to the canvas, so I'm being fairly restrictive as to where I'm putting this thick stuff, right? With one exception, and I'm about to start that exception right now, and that is, I think I've got just about the right color in my brushes. All these little street lights in here, they were brighter a little while ago, and then many of them got glazed over. So now I'm going to come back and all those shape and so on is. So let's mess up a few of them and see if I can correct that little mistake that I just made there. Yeah, that's better. All right, let's be careful not to do too many street lights, so to speak, quote unquote. They're too similar in size. You guys going somewhere?
Going to Target.
Okay.
Target, need anything?
Not that I can think of. Thanks. I am going to do some of this now with a palette knife. Different application. I'm just using the point of a small palette knife to apply dots. Speaking of dots, here's a tool. It's actually a sculptor clay shaper tool. But it allows me to apply different shape, different kind of dot. Dotification is a very ever-present hazard in painting. And if you ever dotify a painting, then you have to embark in some anti-dotification process. You old-timers, we've been around this mountain before. Anti-dotification is a term that has been used. All right, I've done impasto and sparkle at the same time. I'm going to put these brushes down, pick up a couple of different ones, and just ask myself the question, is there any other part of the painting that needs the key concept ingredient element here in the sparkle? It is not the introduction of a completely different color to the painting. That would be either pushing color or broken color. No, it's taking whatever's already there on the canvas and pushing it. So I have here a pale purple, and I'm putting it down on parts of the painting that are already pale purple, but this is paler than that. Okay, now someone might say, well, does it work the other direction too? That is to say, can you put down marks that are slightly darker? And the answer is no. Scream, holler, run for the hills. No, no. No, you cannot. No, no, no. The human eye likes seeing little bits of, this has nothing to do with watercolor. In the realm of acrylic and oil, the human eye gets a kick out of seeing light paint on top of dark paint. Not the opposite. In fact, the human eye does not like seeing dark painting on top of light painting. This has nothing to do, as you can imagine, with watercolor. In fact, a big part of the charm and beauty of watercolor is, in fact, trying to get around that very principle by essentially fooling the eye most of the time. In classic traditional watercolor, what is the artist doing? They're leaving the white paper showing and making it look like light stuff, white stuff, right? Anyway, that's I don't have the energy to chase that down any further. But anyway, in answer to your question, does it work the other way around? No, 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 no. It's very, very particular. By the way, that was not sparkle. That went a good bit beyond what I would call sparkle. That was just a little bit of broken value. Broken value means anytime you do a punch, all these street lights down here are broken value. Little heightened bits of, but this is sparkle. I've got sort of a dull brown on my brushes, and I'm putting it on top of, it was already brown. I'm just putting some lighter brown on top of it. Now, you might have heard me say at the very beginning of this broadcast, why do I put a glaze down? Well, one of the answers is because ain't a color made that don't look better or something. In other words, transparent colors are more interesting, more rich than opaque colors. And yet here I am, once again, I'm back to doing opaque colors. So am I violating, am I undoing what I did earlier? And the answer is a hearty no, 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 no. Why? Well, good, glad you asked, because I've already made reference to, now I am doing sparkle right now. I'm just doing little bits of things here and there and here and there that are the same color as what's already there, just slightly lighter, brighter, whiter, slightly lighter in value, okay? So am I violating the principle of, wait, I thought you said transparent colors are better, now you're doing opaque on top? That is correct. Why is that okay? Oh, so glad you asked. Because the principle of variety trumps almost everything, by the way. The principle of variety trumps the principle of transparent's better than opaque, if I'm calling that a principle. Transparent is better than opaque. That's rule number one. Rule number two is variety. Rule number two trumps rule number one. All right? So having some parts of the painting that are opaque actually makes it a better painting. Why? Because we like variety, because variety is one of the chief values, visual values in a painting. Variety of stroke, variety of color, variety of texture, variety of composition, variety of everything, line shape, variety of line, variety of shape. I've got a nice kind of dirt, slightly burnt orange on my brushes right now, so I'm looking for parts of the painting that are in fact already burnt orange, and I'm just putting a slightly light. This is classic sparkle. Going very quickly, I'm nearly finished, very close to finished with this. Well, hello. Who else has said hi? Melinda and Rob Stahl. Well, my goodness. Hello, Rob. Your guitar, Rob, my friend, is still in the other room. It's been upgraded a couple times since you saw it last. The Yamaha. Do you remember the Yamaha? I'm sure you do. We got some good mileage out of it. It's had a pickup built in it. Good pickup in it. And it is our standard, it is our Nashville High guitar. It typically has the high strings. It's a 6-string guitar, but it has the high strings of a 12-string guitar. Anytime there are 2 acoustic guitars playing in the same band, if you want, I'm just talking music here for a minute because Rob's name showed up. But the rest of you can listen. Anytime there are 2 acoustic guitars in the same band, one of them should be tuned Nashville High. Very simple. That means the high strings of a 12-string guitar. In fact, I can't prove this, but I've been told by people who know far more than I, that in country music, so to speak, which still employs a great deal of real instrumentation as opposed to synthesizers, 2 6-string guitars, one of them tuned Nashville High. So it sounds like a 12-string, but it's actually 2 6-strings. Anyway, it's a beautiful, and I have actually, in recent weeks, I've actually very much enjoyed playing your old guitar, Rob, with the Nashville High tuning and then capoed up. It has the effect of like a tenor guitar, very, very high ringing pitch. Anyway, sorry, I just got off on a music thing there for a minute, y'all. With an old musician friend. From whom, in case you haven't put together, I bought an acoustic guitar from him about 30 years ago, Rob. 30 years, think about it. I've gotten much better at acoustic guitar than I was when I bought it from you. All right, so now I've got pink on my brushes, and I'm just looking for anywhere on the painting that already has pink. I have to be careful not to make too many marks that are, similar size or shape. All right, I'm probably finished, y'all. See, the 2 brightest areas are 3, right in there. Oh, no, there is one thing I want to do, and that is I want to do a little bit of sparkle in this blue stuff down here. The blue already has more than one layer. It has slightly darker underneath, slightly lighter on top. That's already done. But the whole purpose for this quote-unquote sparkle layer is to take that one step further. Let me explain it a little bit more. For instance, and again, I don't know how well you can see that, but there's a very particular blue color. This is all yesterday's painting, so it's dry, except it's got a glaze over it. But my eye can detect that. Let me show you some of this color blue that shows up the same. There, 8, 9, maybe 10, 11, 12. Get the idea? In other words, that same color of blue is showing up in several different places across the painting. And that is not a good thing. Okay, let me hasten to say, that's not good. That's not good because it's not variety, right? One gets the feeling by looking at those little bits that I just showed you. One gets the feeling, and by the way, it's a perfectly accurate feeling. One gets the feeling that an artist mixed up a batch of, in this case, blue, and then just proceeded to paint it throughout the canvas. And in fact, that is exactly the truth. I'm hoping that the color is a little bit too light. I need to darken that. So that is exactly what happened, and that's an unpleasant. Now, again, these are the rules. Every rule can be broken, but you got to know the rules first. Otherwise, you're probably just screwing up. All right. So I'm trying to mix up now a blue that's not quite so bright. There we go. So by simply coming in here and I'm painting only. I mean, I could, but I'm painting I'm painting only on top of those blues that I already pointed out to you. All right. So now, strange to tell, they don't bother us anymore. They don't stand out. Now, you might say, yeah, but the color you just put on there, you put that here and there, so shouldn't you do it again? The answer is yes, sometimes you should. If there's too much of it, you should indeed. So that would mean coming over here, taking the same pile of paint, adding a little bit of titanium white. Oh, that might be too much. And then doing some of this on top of the stuff I just did. At some point, though, you start slipping into dotification. You have to watch out for that. So does that make sense? Our eyes get a kick out of seeing light paint on top of dark paint, especially if it's the same color and just slightly lighter. That's the rest of that formula. I've spoken it several times, but that's it spoken more fully. We get a kick out of seeing light paint on top of dark, especially if the lighter is just slightly lighter and the same, essentially the same chroma, the same color, right? There we go. Whew. Has it been worth it? Was it a good? I just happened to notice, by the way, that I accidentally have this exact color blue up here. Yeah, that's nice. Tiny bit of energy up there. Oh, there's one part of this painting I think is begging for more energy and palette knife texture. There we go. Almost, hang on. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Whew. That was like a thank you, Lord, kind of thank you. That I caught that. Whew. All right, I think I'm done. Tell you what, before I go, I will pick you guys up. Yes, this is a lawn area. I'll show you. I don't know if you can see the. Oh, sorry. My extension cords are all wrapped around my base. Okay, hang on just a minute. I'll pick you guys up in a minute. Anyway, yeah, this is a park area. Mown grass down there, so you're exactly correct. All right, I'm going to pick you up just for fun since I'm all done and you guys have been patiently watching and you really can't see a lot of what's going on here, so bear with me just a minute. A little bit of shaking. Take a good look at my monitors here. Whoops, somebody's at the door. It's a child. Okay, good. All right, just want you to be able to see up close some of the texture that you've been trying to discern from a distance. What happens if I go like this? As you get the painting, of course, all my paintings are varnished. The good news is I don't have to wait 6 months. I don't have to wait 6 monks either. A couple bishops and a cardinal will do just fine. No, I don't have to wait 6 months. But I can varnish it in a couple days when it's dry to the touch. Yeah, that's a distinct improvement over the olden days. All right, I'm going to bid you a fond adieu. I have finished 3 paintings today. That doesn't happen very often. What? Uncle, are you serious? For yourself, right? It's back ordered. Oh yeah, I'm with you now. Yes. I'm not surprised. Yeah, the new Mevo camera is back ordered. Thanks for letting me know, because I am going to order one of those. It does sound to me, if you can trust the marketing, which you can't always, but it sounds to me like they've made several improvements, so I am excited about that. At that point, my B camera here will become my It'll go in the camera case, never to come out again. My A camera will become my B camera. That's what I mean to say. So anyway, that'll be exciting. And I aim to have that in place, in position, before I get to 1,000. How about that? All right, gang, both cameras seem to be working all day today. How about that? Facebook stayed with us the whole time. I don't have a lot of people watching, but but I have the best, the creme de la creme, watching my broadcast. Anyway, thank you. Great fun to see all of your names. Thank you for hanging in there with me, and